under the weather. Daybreak Africa is your one-stop top-notch breakfast show that brings you all the interesting stories happening in and around Africa.
Because we have all the morning essentials,
including the latest news, sports, weather, and events. And of course, the people.
Daybreak Africa on Television Nigerian.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
It's a beautiful morning here in Abuja. My name is Messenger. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Africa. And good morning, Abuja.
And I'm Victor Tehemba. Good morning, and it's nice to have you join us here on a beautiful Thursday morning. I think this is when we say throwback, and then
Yes.
I don't know if we have much to throw back today.
We have lots to throw back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you have something to throw back to. So, Elvis isn't with us this morning.
Yeah.
He's a bit under the weather. So, Nigeria recorded 348 new cases
Of
yesterday.
coronavirus, yes. The update, we keep getting the update from the NCDC. Doing quite a lot to keep letting people abreast of what's going on, and
Yes.
and all of that. So that brings us to the total of 11,166 new cases, with 348 just yesterday, and that's quite alarming. But then I see the recovery rates; those who have recovered and been discharged at 3,000.
329 discharged.
Okay, 3,029. I think that's actually
still
impressive.
progress. It's still a hallelujah there.
yeah. So that actually gives me hope, despite the fact that we've unfortunately lost about over
315
people.
Yes.
You know.
The reason why we bring these figures each and every other day is so we understand the cases that are coming in every day to Nigeria. We know the new cases, we know how many people have passed away due to this virus, and understand the severity of the virus, and then also understand the cases, the people that have been discharged so far, knowing that somehow we are getting it right. Progress is on the way, and everything will be fine if we do the right things.
Definitely, everything will be fine if we do the right thing, and the right thing is, at this moment, keeping safe. And method you can keep safe is maintain good hygiene, practice good hygiene. Always go out with your face masks and maintain social distance. At least give everybody 2 meters. Somebody yesterday was telling me that she went to the market and she couldn't even get space to walk freely in the market because the place was overcrowded. And I'm wondering, why is the marketplace crowded?
I concur with her, 'cause I went to the market myself yesterday.
Oh, and you experienced
Yes, I experienced the same thing, and I was shocked though, because although there was a particular market, they closed on time. Once it was already 4, they closed. Now, however, there was the other market, that's the Wuse market. When we got there, those ones, they still close by 6 p.m.
Okay.
Because yesterday was the day that not just food market could open, clothes market, or everybody could open.
But do you think that perhaps maybe this time constraint of when they should open and when they should close might be one of the reasons why these markets are overcrowded? People being in a rush, last minute rush to make sure they get what they need to get,
Yes.
and perhaps the fact that markets are closed for a larger part of the week
Yes.
and open for them maybe 2 or 3 days
2 or
in
3
a week.
3 days.
Doesn't
reaping.
this also contribute? Because if a lot of people needed to buy things, they have to wait for this particular day, and then you have a lot of people congregating at once
Yes,
in the
at
market
once to go to.
buy
Yes,
things.
it actually, like you said, it actually contributes, because you can imagine a situation if the market was open for all the sectors, all the market sections, from
At all
Monday
days.
to Friday. On a normal day before COVID-19 is usually full. Talk more of you now restrict it to particular days where these people can come. Okay, food will come this day. The whole full market opens this particular day. You should expect the crowd. You shouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah, I would have expected that maybe perhaps they keep the markets open from Monday to Friday and keep it closed on weekends.
Yes.
For the simple logic that weekends is when everybody's basically at home. So
Because
a lot
there's
of
no
people want to
difference.
yeah, exactly.
There's no
Everyone
difference.
troop into the market, and then basically we'll be having cases of rape.
Yes.
Rape cases. I don't know
What's happening?
what's happening if perhaps we are in a wave of rape cases or what, because in this past few days we've experienced it actually started with that of Vera Owa,
yes.
that was raped and murdered
In
in the
the
church.
church.
And then going forward, we've had other cases in Ibadan and
Yesterday.
Ekiti and Kwara as well, in Ilorin
I
as well.
don't really understand what's
Yeah,
happening.
and then some of them, I think the one in Ibadan was about 17 years.
19.
19, okay, yeah. So perhaps it's one in Kwara that's about 17 years.
Probably.
So,
Yeah, there's another one I heard of. She's 12.
um,
I don't know what's happening. Like that Ibadan on, she was raped, and then they now met her dead body later behind her house at the backyard. So that means, but why are these people still raping them and killing them? Could they go a long way to say that they actually know these victims?
yeah, there's this thing about domestic violence, or I don't know, either sexual violence, for example. It's always been that 99% of the time, or 90% of the time, is actually committed by people that are familiar with the victim.
The victim.
Yeah, so it could that could also be the case, because then it doesn't explain any reason why you forcefully rape somebody and then still murder the person, because if not that you're trying to hide your identity, or maybe out of sheer heartlessness and wickedness.
But I think the this rape cases is bringing the ugly side that people are not really aware of in probably the security, how security is in various communities, in various areas, and how they're going to come to play in this situation, this role. How they're going to quickly get... Now, Uwa's case, I don't really understand or know if they have actually gotten... They have suspects.
I think the press came out to say they have arrested a few suspects. Yeah, in connection to the case. I always understand that people will always be kind of apprehensive when it comes to security matters, but they also want to understand that when we have police security matters, one of their responsibilities their responsibilities include, but not limited to, the fact that to detect and prevent crime.
Sure.
Yes, and in the case where they are unable to detect and prevent the crime from happening, then they have to make sure that they respond to crime situation immediately by arresting suspects and bringing people to justice. So in the case whereby they miss the detection or whatever, it will be expected that they go all out, conduct the investigation in the way that they should, and bring... Because the thing is, I think every society is built on the bedrock of justice.
True.
Where
there's no justice, there's no liberty.
At all.
Because I continue to see situations where even fathers are raping or molesting their own daughters, grandfathers molesting their own daughters. So we try to understand what measures can parents actually take. It looks as if there are lots of work that the parents have to undergo. I remember a period where growing up, my parents would rather that they would lock me up in the house than me being with someone else to take care of me when they were not around. They would lock the door. So I don't know if we should start seeing those kind of measures. They would disconnect the gas cooker, electronics, everything, to just make sure nothing is going to happen. I don't know if parents should start seeing
and then it's also saying that some punitive measures are not really kind of deterring people from going ahead with committing this crime, because we've had legislations that has to make rape a capital punishment and all of that. We even have less and less sexual offenders registered in
Yes.
is it Ekiti or Osun State, for example?
Osun.
Osun State, yeah. And yet, in this state, people still go ahead. So I don't know what exactly can be done, because at the moment, you can't even say we should have laws
True.
that punish people for doing these crimes, because already there are laws that carry the highest punishment, yet we still have people perpetrating these crimes. Then what can we do?
Because it looks like at the end of most of the time, these rape cases, we're not seeing a satisfactory kind of justice
Being done.
for these cases.
Well,
We can only hope for the best.
definitely.
Yes, let's join Susan Achin on the news desk for news around Nigeria.
The coronavirus. These are the facts. People of all ages can be affected by the coronavirus. However, older people and people with pre-existing medical conditions such as asthma, diabetes, heart diseases are more vulnerable to the disease. It is not for old people alone. Gargling salt and warm water or chewing garlic and ginger cannot prevent the virus. Drinking alcohol, hot lemon, palm oil or chloroquine will not kill the virus. The virus cannot be transmitted through mosquito bites. Antibiotics do not work against the viruses. Antibiotics work only against bacteria. Boiling pineapple peels, lime and ginger does not kill the virus. Putting raw onions in rooms will not ward off the virus. Using or spraying Dettol, special oils and water all over your body cannot kill the virus. There is no scientific evidence that cooking, drinking or eating any of these is an effective treatment for coronavirus. Do not self-medicate and take responsibility by sharing only verified messages from health authorities such as NCDC, Federal Ministry of Health and WHO.
Good morning and welcome to AM News. I am Susan Achin. Washington on Wednesday ordered the suspension of all flights by Chinese airlines into and out of the United States after Beijing failed by allowing American carriers to resume services to China. The move adds to growing friction between the world's two largest economies amid the coronavirus crisis and in the wake of a two-year trade war that has not been fully resolved. The U.S. action takes effect June 16 but could be implemented sooner if President Donald Trump orders it, the Department of Transportation said. Meanwhile, 3 Minneapolis policemen were charged Wednesday for their role in the killing of a handcuffed black man that ignited nationwide protest, while more serious charges were filed against the officer primarily responsible. Minnesota prosecutors had announced a third-degree murder indictment Friday against 44-year-old Derek Chauvin. The white officer filmed kneeling on the neck of George Floyd for nearly 9 minutes while he pleads I can't breathe. But they said they were increasing the charge roughly akin to manslaughter to second-degree murder, which does not involve premeditation but carries stiffer penalties. Nigeria has recorded an additional 348 COVID-19 cases, taking the total number of infections in the country to 11,166. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) disclosed this late on Wednesday. According to the agency's report, 163 of the new cases were recorded in Lagos, 76 in the FCT and 23 in Ebonyi. Other affected states were Rivers with 21 cases, Delta, Nasarawa and Niger with 8 each, Enugu with 6, 5 each in Bauchi, Edo, Ekiti, Ondo and Gombe, 4 in Benue, 2 in Ogun and 1 each in Osun, Plateau, Kogi and Anambra. A total of 3,329 have been discharged, while 315 deaths have been recorded. Now, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has given an assurance that the House will continue to engage the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) to improve the welfare of Nigerian workers. The Speaker, who commended Nigerian workers for their sacrifices over the years, said the 9th Assembly would not hesitate to promote good ideals that would strengthen their working environment. Gbajabiamila said he was deeply concerned about the issue of strikes that came up from time to time, which he said would not augur well for the country's economy. Speaking at a meeting with the national leadership of the NLC led by its president, Mr. Ayuba Waba, the speaker encouraged Nigerian workers to support the government and do what is right at all times. A professor of political science, Adele Jinadu, has said that it is not feasible for the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to provide face masks for all the voters in the upcoming Edo and Ondo State governorship elections. Professor Jinadu said this on Wednesday during the Citizens' Town Hall on voting amidst COVID-19. His comments come days after the INEC boss, Professor Muhammad Yakubu, said the commission is set to proceed with the governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states despite the COVID-19. In a document titled Voters' Code of Conduct for Elections during the COVID-19 pandemic, the INEC noted that wearing a face mask at the polling units and all election centers is mandatory. Lagos State is taking new steps towards improving security in all communities across the state with the inauguration of the State Community Policing Advisory Committee and its operations arm, State Community Policing Committee. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Wednesday inaugurated members of the two committees at a ceremony held at the State House in Alausa, pointing out that the event marked a turning point in the government's deliberate effort to re-strategize and rethink the security architecture using community policing initiative as proposed by the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Muhammad Abubakar Adamu. Also, in the wake of increased reports of sexual violence and gruesome deaths, the Lagos State government has reiterated its zero-tolerance stance against all forms of sexual and gender-based violence, including rape, domestic violence, and child abuse. Meanwhile, Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki says the state is ready for the governorship election despite the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. The governor made this known on Wednesday during the Citizens' Town Hall on voting amidst COVID-19. According to him, the state government is determined to manage the current 336 cases of the virus while being on the watch for any new infections. And now moving on to the entertainment scene, Nigerian singer Davido has left his fans and followers feeling emotional after coming out to share a major change that has taken effect in his life. The music star, in a post shared on his official Instagram page, noted that anyone who cannot reach him via his mobile phone number should not bother, as he will personally contact such a person if the need arose. Stating that he will spend most of his life putting others first, the singer said that it is now time for him to live his life and take good care of himself. The assurance crooner went further to say that he was changed his personal mobile phone number, describing the move as necessary because, according to him, he had to do some cleansing. The video, however, maintained that he is still loved everyone. And that's it on AM News. I am Susan Achin.
Good morning, Susan.
Good morning.
You had quite loads of interesting stories coming in this morning.
Yes.
And yeah, and maybe we'll have to start from the recent protests in US,
the US.
concerning George Floyd.
Yes.
And it's really good to know because that is what they've been calling for, that this officer should be charged with murder. And,
Yes.
and I believe that at the point where they charge the officer Chauvin for less than third degree murder.
Third degree murder.
I was
highly disappointed as well.
Yeah, I was.
It was.
It means like it wasn't. Let's define third degree murder to people. Who has the?
So they have 3 degrees of murder, and one is first degree, which is intentional and you plan
premeditated.
Yes.
The less than second degree murder is intentional, but you did not plan it to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the third degree is you did not plan for it, you did not intend for it, it just happened.
So what do we think? How do we now call? How can you not say you're charging?
Now the issue is, if you saw that video, which we've all seen, you could see, if you saw the way he knelt on George Floyd, you will see that his hands were in his pockets and his face, he had this intentional look. Now he did not plan to do that. But you could see that he intended to continue what he has started.
Yes, and what did he think that will be the outcome of what he
kneeling on someone that was shouting, I can't breathe, for about 9 minutes.
Yeah, but that's what we talk about. That's what we're talking about. Justice. If justice, this is not the first time that a white police is killing a black man.
It's not the first time.
It has been happening for decades. If justice has been seen to be done to those other officers who
then they won't
continue. There won't be a repetition.
Yes, because he would affect that in the clear eye of the public. He saw people with their smartphones recording.
And he was outside, was in public, like people were videoing.
He absolutely believed that
nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. They won't do me anything because it's our land.
Because the issue is that the American journalist actually had an interview with his sister, and then she was asked. She said she's not satisfied with how far they have gone with the offender. And when asked what does she want to be done, she said, "Do you know that at that time he was only suspended and arrested? He was not even charged with murder." She was the one that said, when they said, "What do you want?" She said, "Let him be charged with murder." They now went on to charge him with third degree murder. Why is this such a process?
Why?
Now they are saying it's now second degree murder.
Why do they have to sugarcoat it still?
Why are they taking so much time? Yes. These are the questions that are arising.
But the thing is, it has been elevated to second degree.
Yeah, second degree, which is more
after the autopsy results came out, and then it was really defined that yes, he died as suffocation from the man's actions and all of that. But then it'd be good that if they go ahead, and now he won't just be the only one. The other three officers are also charged, but with lesser. For aiding and abetting.
Yes,
accomplice.
I mean, broad daylight.
In broad daylight, they were not even scared to tell you how far they have gone.
And I think that it actually took the entire country by surprise.
I mean,
this protest that started. In let's say
about 140
cities, police and then whatever. Right now it's in the entire 50 states.
Everywhere.
They're still protesting.
So at the point I was looking at it that yes, why people might be protesting for George Floyd, the injustice and the anti-racism, whatever. I also believe that it goes to an extent that it's a protest against Trump.
Yes,
and his government.
And you know, Trump will never fall short of expectations. He came out and said, "We are going to deploy military." You know,
heavily bodied.
So, as expected, he came out to say that.
2 days ago, he even declared martial law in the United States, which really angered more people to come out on the street and like.
So now because the protest is.
I mean, what are you saying? Joe Biden also was coming out to say that Trump is using the military against Americans, using the American military against the people. So it has been.
Are they not meant to be deployed only when there's war?
Of course.
Was there a war?
The issue is you are even leaving the cause for the protest and going into the issue of the protest. Now, why did it start? Did people just wake up from their homes?
How did he address the issue?
There was something that happened. Now, you did not talk about that one, and then you now come out to say you are going to deploy the military. There's a lot of looting, which is expected. When there are protests and chaos, people definitely will take advantage of that situation. So it's not surprising.
The people that were looting, they were looting. The people that were protesting were protesting.
So I really hope that this is the last of this kind of thing. We're in the 21st century. It will be unfortunate that our children will come and still meet the issue of racism or even hear about it. This should be something past. We are way past this. And it's very unfortunate that this is happening, not just in the 21st century, but in broad daylight. And the level of boldness, I mean, that 4 officers will be standing and one will not even see any reason why he should. You know, the way it's so unfortunate.
And the kind
really
of justice
painful.
that's been given, one will just sit down on their chair and just start contemplating. I don't understand.
I mean,
that means I can come out and do that, and you just give me second degree.
But I hope this will serve as a deterrent to other people coming up.
Yeah, basically because they never expect this kind of reaction. I know.
No, they didn't see this one coming.
Way past. In the local court days, there was also a release video of the police officers in the Indianapolis and in the US where they stopped a woman and they were asking her to step out of the car and then she was taking all measures to basically protect herself. And then the officer asked her, "Why do you need all this?" He said, "No, I need to be careful because we've seen what police has done." And then the officer was like, "But you're not black. We only keep blacks."
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Can you imagine? But it has come to a point where even the whites are protesting because it means that they are not above this. It means it can happen to anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're talking about the human race.
It's just a popular saying that says when something's happening to your neighbor and then you say it doesn't concern me.
It will get to you.
But by the time that evil finish,
when it's done,
who else will
it will definitely slip to your direction.
Yeah, so I think they should just do it.
All right. Thank you, Susan. Thank you very much. Good morning. So we go on a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll be having the newspaper review.
Coronavirus no be our friend, yo. Make we push am come out, yo. Corona, he no be our friend, yo. Say make we push am come out, yo. My country people, you see this coronavirus, no be joke. Make we help ourselves and our government pursue this yama sickness from our country. Make we remember to wash our hand every time with soap and water. Make we no forget to sanitize our hand and wear face mask when we come out. Also, make we avoid crowd and keep social distancing when we come out. My people, if you see say you don't dey get symptoms, make you rush go hospital make them treat you. Coronavirus no be our friend though. Make we remember say prevention better pass cure.
Coronavirus no be our friend oh. Make we push am comot yo. Corona no be our friend oh. Say make we push am comot yo.
Welcome back. This is still Daybreak Africa here on television Nigeria. Now it's time for the newspaper review. This day newspaper. Obaseki talks tough, tells Oshomole to rescue self from Edo APC primary. 6 governorship aspirants submit nomination forms. Below the picture nameplate. No more deal with Katsina bandits, Masari vows. That's on page 5 of the This Day newspaper.
That's the very first one. They're looking at the headline there.
Yes.
Just makes me to remember the Obaseki's video where he was saying that if Oshomole does not take time, it's going to show him that he's the governor of Edo State. I can't believe so it's coming between a godfather and the governor. Is drawn. So let's move on to the next paper, which is the Punch newspaper, and here the screaming headline here reads: Another student raped, killed in Oyo, Ekiti hawker defied. And there are a few writers there. Amnesty asks president to declare rape national emergency. Aisha Buhari seeks speedy action on cases. Atiku Dabiri Erewa reacts. Kogi commissioner under investigation for assault, rape, say police. You find all of these stories on pages 4 and 5. And the picture story there is a non-governmental organization distributing palliatives to physically challenged persons at the National Stadium in Surulere, Lagos. And this happened yesterday. Below the picture story there, Federal Executive Council approves 1.6 billion naira for second in the airport's runway. I think that's also a nice one there. And you find that story on page 2. Family demands justice over radio presenter's death in church during childbirth. How did that happen? You will not know unless you get to page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. And that's much you can take on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Quite a lot of story there. The Daily Sun newspaper. Obiano threatens to shut Anambra markets for flouting COVID-19 protocols. Well, that's on page 28 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Below the picture nameplates, Kalu out of Kuje Correctional Center. Well, that's a wonderful story there. That's on page 27 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Beside that, security. We are short of manpower funding. That's coming from the defense minister. Troops kill 3 top Boko Haram commanders, 72 orders in Borno. That's on page 3 and 5 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Still beside that, Vera Omozua, Nans hold mega solidarity rally in Benin. That's also on page 27 of the Daily Sun newspaper.
That's a nice one there from Nans, not forgetting one of their own.
Exactly.
Yeah. So move on to the Nation newspaper here, and the Nation has a lot of stories, but the major headline here says churches, mosques open in Kwara, Oshun, Kano, and Benue. Islamic Council urges caution as Khan 4th anniversary to 55 years old and above to avoid worship centers. That story you find inside, actually started on the front page of the Nation, but continued on page 6 of the Nation newspaper. Yes, the Ojikalu goes home.
Finally.
You can see the picture story there is that of Ojikalu when he left the prison in Kuje. And then above the nameplate there is a Yamu 4 orders to battle Obaseki, the governorship tussle in Odo State Tickins. Story is on page 6. Federal government okays 148 billion naira refund to Oshun Ondo 3 orders, and that is on page 5. Airlines get set for June 21 flight resumption. 5 airports cleared. That story is also on page 6. And that is all on the front page of the Nation newspaper.
All right, so let's take a look at this Daily Times. The headline here: states will no longer get refunds for repairing federal roads. That's coming from the federal government. Below that, approves refunds of 148 billion naira to Rivers, Cross River, Ondo, Bayelsa, Osun State. Says COVID-19 has attacked all its revenue sources. You can get all of that on page 2 of the This Daily Times newspaper. Below the picture nameplate, Malawi takes over trial of Taraba kidnap kingpin, Wadume orders. That's on page 15. Beside that, Umahi vows to waive immunity in alleged 2 billion naira agric loan probe. That's on page 14. I'll take this last one. Senate queries CBN over $3.3 billion unremitted foreign task. You can read all of that on page 4, and you might as well get the copy of This Daily Times newspaper.
That's right. So we'll move on to the next newspaper on the slab, and that is the Guardian newspaper here, and it goes with the screaming headline: bandits intensify strike as security chiefs brief Buhari with a few riders. Fresh attack kills 9 in Kaduna community. Police need reforms, restructuring, not reorganization. Troops hit Boko Haram militants, 72 others. And that story is continued on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Why Nigeria may record more coronavirus cases. This is by the NCDC and others. You get to find why and then know how you can stay safe and not be one of the statistics of those infected with coronavirus. Get to page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Picture stories there. A protest across London, in central London, protests of Black Lives Matter. So there's also solidarity there in faraway London as well. Yes. Outrage over cut in health education budget. That story is continued on page 6. And that is so much that we can take on the front page of the Guardian newspaper.
All right, so we take a look at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. The big headline there: Oshomole should stay away from June primaries. That's from Obaseki. I don't know who doesn't know the name of Obaseki by now. Explains why he visited Buhari Tinubu. Submits APC nomination form. Says, I can't join PDP. ABC generates 135 million naira from sales of farms. Wow, that's on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. 19-year-old raped, killed in Ibadan by suspected armed robbers. Well, that's on page 6. You can get the paper to read the full story on the rape of the 19-year-old. Below that, armed forces short of manpower funds. That's from the defense minister. You can get that on page 8. Community policing takes off in Lagos. That's on page 7 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And finally, gunmen kill 9, injure others in fresh Kaduna attack. Talking about COVID-19 and insecurity still.
Yeah, so I saw the recent video of that attack in Kaduna yesterday, and it was very heart-wrenching. But let's move on to the last paper of the day, which is the Business Day, and here how Nigerians bear brunt of fading foreign direct investments. The FDI is dropping, and this is in the lack of jobs, rising poverty levels. JP Morgan, Citibank, NIPC suggest way country can attract more FDIs. This story is continued on page 28 of the Business Day. Respite for insurers as NICOM extends recapitalization deadline to September 30, 2021. Good news for insurers there, definitely it is. You'll find more details of that story on page 27. And yes, and then every newspaper of the day is talking about the story of Obaseki. Telling Oshomole State Club, the APC, and then we also have that of Ojikalu coming back from
I think we got
so it
pictures.
Means he is going to resume his duties as a senator very soon.
We were to see that.
All right, we definitely wait to see if that happens, because he has been actually be collecting salary while still in prison. So he should come back to his work.
Wonderful. So this is the much we can take, or
yeah, definitely this is the much we can take for Daybreak Africa for today. But you know, it's actually been a very jolly good ride with you this morning.
yes, I can see you're all smiling.
Definitely I am. So definitely we're going to send out this memo, but don't forget that we are not leaving you entirely. You can still stick with us by following us on all our social media pages, on Twitter at TV Nigerian, on Facebook at Television Nigerian, YouTube is Television. In fact,
Nigeria.
anywhere you go, just search for Television Nigeria, and we're there. And don't forget to also log on to the website www.tvn.news. It's where you get the freshest juice and news, the freshest videos coming up from Television Nigeria. Everything is there for you.
Many, many, many thanks for staying with us this morning. My name is Mercy Joe.
And I'm Victor Tehemba. See you again tomorrow.
Do stay safe.